Come in. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Miss Blair.
What's going on?
I don't know. I got kicked out of class and they told me to come see you.
Okay. Whose class were you in?
Miss Edwards?
Alright, so what happened?
Okay, well, you know Vanessa and she's dating Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was asking him a question about my homework and then she called me a whore, so I flipped my desk over.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I know this is your first week, so you're still getting used to things. I know you don't know me that well. So just before we start out, I wanted to remind you everything we say in here is confidential, with the exception of if you say anything about hurting yourself or somebody else, anything about any kind of child abuse, I legally have to report those things.
So you can't say any of this stuff to Vanessa.
Right, no, I will not talk about Vanessa. I will not talk about any of this with Vanessa other than her own behavior, which I will address with Miss Edwards first.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Alright. And if need be, if we need to sit both of you down at the end of this, or, however it needs to be handled, we can look at that too, if that's something you're willing to do.
Maybe.
But first, let's concentrate on what's going on with you. So do you care if I take some notes as we talk?
No, that's fine.
Alright. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what just happened?
Well, I was not flirting with Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to figure out the math homework because it was really hard. And all of a sudden, Vanessa comes up and puts her hands on my desk and calls me a whore. And I mean, I get it because I was talking to her boyfriend, but I wasn't hitting on him or anything. I don't even like him like that. But she got so mad, and I just flipped the desk. I wasn't trying to hurt her. It was just I just wanted her to know how mad I was.
Okay. So you were talking to Vanessa's boyfriend. Sounds like maybe Vanessa got jealous, called you a whore, and then you flipped over the desk. Is that basically how it happened?
Yeah, they pretty much sent me here immediately after that.
Okay. It sounds like it escalated pretty quick. Was I missing anything in there, or is that step for step?
No, that's pretty much exactly how it happened.
Okay.
I don't think it escalated very quickly. I mean, I think she escalated it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like my behavior was totally justified.
Okay. So you think that being called a name, that you think that justifies just flipping over a desk?
Well, calling me a whore, yeah.
Okay.
That's it's so immature, and it's like she doesn't even know me. Because I've only been here like 5. So, I mean, that's not fair for her to. And I thought we were friends. And then all of a sudden, she starts calling me a whore and all this stuff, and I can't take that.
Right. Well, that language is inappropriate in the classroom anyway, so that'll be handled separately. But let's look at that a little bit. What was it about her calling you a whore that just set you off?
A whore is like the worst thing you can call somebody. Like, my mom was a stripper, okay, not a whore. She was not a prostitute. She was just a stripper. And she got called a whore sometimes, which I thought was so messed up because that's not what she is. And she told me that's the worst thing a girl can call you. And I think she's right. I think that's bull.
So, how did you feel when she called you that?
I just kind of went red.
Okay.
And I felt like hurting her. I didn't, but I wanted to hit her.
Right. Well, I think, especially at your age, that's not an unnatural response. Sometimes strong emotions can make you want to hurt people, and thank you for not. That was a very mature decision to not hit her. However, flipping over the desk may not have been the best decision because, as you see, it got you sent out of class.
Yeah.
So I actually have this chart here. If you would like to fill out me, it's something we can go over together. If you'd like, I can take notes on it for you, and if you want to take it with you and look at it later on today or tonight or whatever, and maybe think about it. And then you might even be able to use it for other situations, or you can bring it back to me and we can look at it again, or whatever you think.
Okay, I mean,
Is this something you're willing?
yeah, I've never seen a chart like that, but
Okay. Well, basically, this is just going to help us work through what happened, what kind of thoughts you were having, your response, some emotional aspects, and maybe what you can do that in the future.
but I can't change her calling me a whore.
That's true. You can't. You can't change other people's actions or reactions, but you can control your own. So.
Okay, I'll try.
Sometimes reacting to things like that is giving the other person power, because she kind of controlled you being sent out of the classroom. She was able to trigger something in you, which really isn't fair to you, so maybe we'll look at some ways to prevent that.
Okay.
Alright, so we'll try it out, see what you think, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Okay, that's cool.
Alright, so let's start out. The first one is just the situation. So in this case, the situation would be someone you thought that was your friend called you a hurtful name, which in this case,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I'll friend called you a whore. Okay. Is there anything else you think that needs to go in that column?
No, I mean, I was talking and laughing with Eric because, like I said, he was helping me with the homework. So, I don't know if that counts as that because it was like the beginning of the situation. So I don't know if you think I should put on there, then I will.
Okay. Well, I know we haven't really had a chance to talk about triggers, but I see what you're saying. Where the story began was not with this,
Yeah.
but what triggered your reaction? Because if Vanessa had said something else or used another name, do you think you would have reacted as strongly?
I don't know. What do you mean by trigger? I mean, I know like the definition, but what do you mean?
Right. When I say trigger, I mean something. Well, it triggers in a certain way. Like it's some people call them hot buttons. It's something that basically it gets under your skin to the point where you don't feel like you can control it, and then you react by flipping over desks or hitting somebody or doing something that might be considered extreme
Okay.
or even out of character, and it normally gets you in trouble.
Okay.
So,
Well. Okay.
something that causes you to react strongly.
Yeah. Then horror would definitely fall under that category.
Okay, so I think that's good for in this situation, because I think to me it sounds like it's that word. Because if she had called you, I don't know, what's another name somebody might call you?
Like a bitch.
Yeah. Would you have reacted as strongly to that?
And actually, now that you mention it, I've been called a bitch before, and I really don't react like at all. I don't really care. I don't know. I never thought about it, but I have been called that before, and it's never fazed me.
Yeah. So maybe it's just the word whore really triggers something in you. Possibly because your mom told you that was what you call. And that's not. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad belief, but that's a value that she has instilled in you. So it sounds like you really take that to heart, and that's okay. But that's why we're doing this, so we can figure out how you can handle that without getting in trouble.
Okay.
Okay, so basically we're going to look at how to cope with that.
Okay.
Alright, and this can apply to other triggers too. Like I said, we don't know each other that well yet, so I'm not really sure what your triggers are, but we will talk more about that later.
Okay.
So, but for now, we'll focus on this one. So that way, maybe we can get you back composed and back into the classroom. So the next column, you can see automatic thoughts and behavioral response. So under this one, let's say, okay, what was your immediate reaction? Like, what was your first thought when she called you that?
Well, my first thought was violence
Okay.
towards her. Which, like I said, I didn't act on, but that was my first response.
So, was your first thought the word violence, or was it to do something violent?
I would say to do. I would prefer to throw the desk at her, but instead I just flipped it.
Okay. So how do we want to word that? What was your first thought after she called you that?
I wanted to harm her.
Okay.
I guess. Physically.
So you wanted to physically harm. And I don't want to put her name on this in case you lose it or something and, it falls into somebody else's hand.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, that's a good idea.
So I'll just wanted to physically harm. How about quote? Were there any other thoughts or reactions going on in your mind after she said that?
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you don't know me that well, but I'm really not a crier that much, but this is still private, right?
Yes.
I teared up on the walk over here from the classroom.
Okay.
It made me so sad because I have seen so many women close to being called for, and so it made me kind of feel like I kind of know what my mom went through when she was called a whore. So it was sadness, but it was also anger.
Okay, so we'll say sad, angry. And what if I just put mom on here? Were you thinking about mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
If this is just like the emotion column, I guess you could also put confusion.
Okay. This is the first thought. Also, an emotional. Some of them might be repeated, so that's totally okay.
Okay.
But I can put that on there too.
Okay.
So while we're looking at this, let me go back up to mom. What is your relationship like with mom now?
Well, now we're best friends.
Okay. What about in the past?
We were distant. I know nothing against her or anything, but we weren't close when I was growing up and stuff, and she always had different guys over, and I was meeting different men and different boyfriends, and so I kind of just stuck to my friends instead of hanging out with her because she went through all this stuff, and then sometimes those guys she would bring home would call her a whore, and then I would have to kind of like comfort her after that happened. And I don't really think that's fair of them to treat my mom like that. But now she has a regular job and is married to a guy that I'm pretty okay with, so we're much better friends now.
Good, that's great. But with your past, it makes sense why you would feel sad and angry, and why you would even want to physically harm somebody else, because that was a really serious thing for you growing up. What it sounds like. So I think that sounds totally. It makes sense. And even if you continue to have these thoughts, that's okay. What we want to focus on is how it affects your behaviors. So we'll look at some coping. So we've got your thoughts, and then also in this column we put behaviors. And so the first thing that you did after she called you that was flip over the desk. Is that correct?
We did not exchange words.
Okay.
We didn't have time.
So flip desk, and then you were sent out of class and
Immediately.
Okay.
with that question.
And so here we are. Alright, so this next column that we're going to do has a few different aspects, like I said. And you can look at this if you'd like.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about self-esteem, security, ambition, personal relationships, which we covered a little bit already,
Okay.
behavior a little bit.
Okay.
So, first off, let's look at the self-esteem, which is also something that we'll cover in our groups later on in the semester with your classmates.
Okay.
But for right now, so as this was happening, like, who are you trying to be?
Well, I guess I'm always trying to be my mom.
Okay. You're trying to be your mom or be like your mom?
Like her, I guess. Now that you
Because I've met your mom, and she's a wonderful lady, but I can tell that there are some differences between you two. Not bad differences, just differences. And that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us cool, you know. So if everybody was the same, it wouldn't, you know, the world wouldn't be the same. And I've noticed you're kind of artsy,
Yeah.
and I really like that about you. There's some projects
Aw.
coming up in the semester that I think you'd be really great to help with.
Aw.
So
Thanks.
yeah, we'll talk some more about that. Okay, so you want it to be like your mom. What is it that you like about your mom?
I like that my mom is assertive.
Okay.
She is a strong, assertive woman.
Okay, so who you're trying to be is a strong woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And independent.
Okay. Strong, independent woman. I think that's a wonderful thing to want to be. And what is the opposite of that?
Weak, catty, and manipulative. I think.
Those are some good descriptions. Weak, catty, and manipulative. And look at the security.
Okay.
This is covering what are you trying to get out of the situation. So what were you trying to get out of flipping the desk?
Well, I don't know. Let me think about it.
Okay.
I guess if I really had to pick something, I was trying to just really, this is too simple for her to leave me alone and to back up and to know that I will defend myself.
Okay. So that kind of sounds like maybe you were trying to prove yourself in a way that would scare her from calling you that again.
That's not the language I would use, but pretty much, yeah.
Okay, well, can you put that into your own terms?
I wanted to intimidate.
That's
her.
a good word. Okay.
I didn't, I don't. I was trying to be her friend. I don't want to scare her, but I do know that I will stand up for myself if I have to.
Right.
If she comes at me like that.
I think that's the perfect word to sum that up. That sounds good to me. Do you want to add anything else?
That was pretty much my impulse reaction.
Okay. And now we're going to look at ambition. So, how does a reaction such as that to intimidate someone, how does that influence your progress or success in your life or here at school?
Well, here it clearly just gets me into trouble.
Okay.
But in my social life, it has worked.
Okay. So at school, it's trouble. In your social life, it's effective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How has it been effective for?
I have to, like I said, my mom went through a lot of boyfriends, and that's the one thing I don't want to do that she did. So I try to intimidate men to leave me alone, and it's worked.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but it's worked for me, and I've survived this long on it. So,
Well, maybe we can look at some other techniques or a different way to do that that would get you into trouble.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. And so personal relationships. How does doing something like that affect your personal relationships?
Well, never really had to use it on a close female friend before. Well, not close, but a female friend. And, I don't know yet, but my guess is we probably won't be friends past this point. I mean, I wouldn't that did that to me, or they called me a whore. So, I don't know.
So right now it doesn't look like there's any kind of grounds for reconciling.
If she really wanted to, I would talk to her.
That's good.
Like if she, I mean, 'cause I only have like 3 friends here. So if she would actually want to talk to me without using the W word, I don't know, I would talk to her, I guess.
Okay.
I could try.
Well, maybe if you would like, I could sit down with the two of you and maybe mediate the situation, and maybe get her to understand, you were not trying to hit on her boyfriend. You were asking a question. Maybe try to get her to understand, if she finds this is something that you're with her, why you don't like that word so much, so that she'll know not to use it, because to her, she might not think that word is a big deal at all. I've heard some girls here, which we don't allow, they get in trouble for it, but I have heard girls use that as a term of endearment before. I don't.
Gosh.
Yeah. Kind of just like the B word.
Yeah.
So it has a different meaning for different people. So she may not understand why that word hurts you so much at this point in time.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about it. I mean, I assumed she was saying it to hurt me.
Right. Well, it sounds like she probably was, because she was reacting in anger. From what you've told me, that's what it sounds like. But she may not understand how deep that word cuts you. You know what I mean?
I do, actually. That makes sense.
So, if she really is your friend, and you want to share that perspective with her, you might want to give it time. I don't know how much you trust her, so that's totally up to you.
If, I know there's other social workers here, but if we do the mediation, can we come to you? Can I ask specifically to come see Miss Blair?
Yeah, well, since I'm your social worker, yeah, I could do that. And I think Miss Taylor is her social worker. So I would all that. I might want to sit in as well, if that's okay with both of you. If that's something you're interested in, I can ask her, right as soon as we get done, if you want.
That would be awesome. I would really appreciate it.
Okay. Let me make a note of that to myself. I don't have a very good memory. That's why I write everything down.
That's smart. I should do that.
So how it affects your relationships? It could potentially end them.
Yeah. Apparently.
Is there anything else you'd like to put under that? Any other ways it might affect your relationships?
Like I said, for me, it's kind of like a defense mechanism, I guess, is what you call it. But it usually is only with men that I think are being creepy. Like boys that
So those aren't relationships that you care about saving, anyways.
Right.
Okay. So that makes sense.
I will say though, it helps my relationship with my mom
Mhm.
because she told me, like recently when we've gotten closer, that she sees a lot of herself in me, and I think it's that intimidation and assertiveness that she sees, and so I kind of want to hold on to that,
Mhm.
but I want to be able to still have relationships with females.
Right. And the assertiveness is a totally healthy behavior. There's a difference between being assertive and aggressive. And in the intimidation is where you kind of see the aggressive. So
Makes sense.
So yeah, we'll continue with this, and we're actually now we're on the column where we're going to talk about what maybe could have been done differently. So this is alternative balancing and rational beliefs and behaviors, which basically we're just going to talk about your belief and why it bothers you so much. So how might we sum that up?
Well, like why it bothers me? Or
Just your, I guess your belief, your perspective on that trigger, like why that's a trigger for you.
I guess because while my mom was being a stripper, I saw her get called a whore so many times, and by so many of the men that she brought into our house. So anytime it's used, I assume somebody. I've only heard it growing up used against my mother.
Right.
I've never heard it used like. I mean, I know you said that the girls say it like a term of endearment, but where I grew up, that did not happen.
Right.
And so I guess like if you wanted to put it in a sentence, that hearing my mother get yelled at makes me upset when I hear it, I guess.
Okay.
Is that right? I mean,
Oh yeah, there's no wrong answer. I'm just trying to think of the simplest way we could write it.
okay.
What about I believe that the term whore is unacceptable.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Unacceptable. When we'll say when called that, I feel
Perfect. And I feel personally attacked. Also, I don't know if that's the same thing, but it's in there too.
I'll put it in there personally
Okay.
attacked. I think that's important because it's very personal. Because somebody can say something very impersonal to you and make you feel just disrespected. But that kind of hits home. And that's what the trigger is.
Okay.
So yeah. Oh, you are about to have to go back to your next class. So fortunately, we're on this last block.
Okay.
We'll sum it up real quick, see what we can do.
Okay.
And then I'll have to send you on. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we've got your belief. So now we kind of want to counter that. Instead of feeling disrespected and personally attacked, and demeaned, instead of thinking, like, instead of saying whore when somebody calls you that, instead of thinking that about yourself, how should you see yourself?
Well, I know that I'm not. Like, I know that for sure about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, even if they call me that, I know it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is that a solution? Or
Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of it. Let's look at something positive. So if you're not a whore, what are you?
I am an independent girl.
I would even go as far as to say I'm an independent young lady.
I do like that term better. I mean, I know I'm not 18 yet, but
Right.
I'm almost there.
Yeah, you're
So.
still a young lady. And also judging from your grades, you're also a very smart young lady. So, instead of reacting by flipping over a desk, okay, so your initial reaction was to hit her, which you didn't do. Which props, good.
Thanks.
But you did flip over the desk, which also got you in trouble. So what's another alternative solution?
Like for the whole situation.
Right. What could you have done instead of?
Oh, so
Yeah,
she calls me a whore.
Same thing happens. Just if you could change your reaction, what would you do differently?
Well, since I have you as a social worker, can I just leave and come talk to you?
Well, you have to ask your teacher first, but yes, you can do that.
Okay, well then I'd better do that.
Okay. Let's say that you're not at school. You're at the store or at a friend's house or something, and a similar situation happens and somebody calls you a whore. And I'm not going to be around. So at school, that's fine. You can come to me. But what are you going to do when I'm not there?
Well, I mean, I guess I could. Well, being assertive. I can't even say it right.
Assertive.
Thank you. And intimidating isn't working, so I guess I could just leave.
Well, I think the assertive part is fine. It's when you cross the line from assertive into aggressive. So what is something that is assertive but not aggressive that you could say or do?
Well, if I was just using my words, I would explain very assertively that I do not like that word and that I don't take it lightly like they do. Because you said some people don't use it as a derogatory term, but I guess telling people that it is a derogatory term to me would, hopefully, if they're my friends, it should make them not say that anymore, right? I mean,
right. If they're your friend. On the flip side of that, though, that could add fuel to the fire. If it's somebody that doesn't like you and isn't trying
they would
to
just
be your
use it as
friend,
ammo.
they might use it against you.
You're right.
So, not that that's wrong to say that you don't take that term lightly. I think that was fine. But as you said, you are assertive. I think it's fine to stand up for yourself. And maybe just be like, you know what? Don't use that word to describe me.
Okay. I got.
And you can use, and there's so many different things that could happen, but I think removing yourself from the situation, if you feel like you're going to get physically aggressive, I think that might be the best option for you right now where you're at.
I usually do when that word comes up. So, since I don't want to keep getting in trouble because I actually like this school and want to stay here,
Good.
I guess I'll just either keep my mouth shut, remove myself, stand up for myself, or just come to you.
That sounds good. And I'd like with you.
really
If you
like
want to change anything or think about it or come back and talk to me some more about it, we can do that.
Can you make me more? Can I have more of these?
You want some blank ones to fill
Yeah.
out on your own?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's fine. And anytime you want to fill them out with me, or if you fill them out at home and you want to bring them back to me and talk about it, totally fine. And
Okay, awesome.
and we'll the next time that we get to have our one-on-one session, which we haven't got to do yet because it's the first week, but whenever we get to that, we'll talk about some more coping skills as well if you'd like.
Okay.
So yeah, and after you go back to class, I'll talk to Miss Taylor and we'll see what we can do about a mediation.
Okay, I've got like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But thank you a lot, and I actually feel a lot better.
Good, I'm glad. So don't let this ruin the rest of your day.
I'll try.
Your behavior charts look pretty good so far, with some minor things, but that's fine. Nobody's perfect. So let's try any more explosives.
I'll try.
Okay.
No promises, but I try.
All right. That's all I can ask.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.